All right, today we're going to talk about the main event going down this Saturday, and you already know what that is. Of course, it's UFC 297. Sean Strickland defending against Dricus Du Plessis. You know it because you're a hardcore MMA fan. That is why you subscribe to this channel. Thank you, all 602,000 of you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Anyway, so mixed martial arts, the best sport on the planet. And when you're talking about a fighter, you're talking about their skill, and it comes down to several different categories. We're talking about striking, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, cardio, power, strength, heart, and finishing ability. Okay, so we're going to go through each one of them, and we're going to try and figure out who is going to win this fight this weekend. Now, if you look at the careers of both men, they've both had incredible rises to the top. Strickland had a harder path, okay? He's got a professional record of 28 wins, 5 losses, 11 knockout victories, 4 submission victories, and he's been knocked out 2 times, and he's lost 3 times by decision. Currently, Strickland's on a 3-fight win streak. Adesanya became the champ, stopped Abus Magomedov, an undefeated fighter, in round 2, and beat Nasruddin Imavov before that via decision. Prior to that, lost to Jared Cannonier, and he lost to Alex Pereira when he was knocked out in the first round. So that's the last 5 fights of Sean Strickland. When we switch to Dricus Du Plessis, right, this man, unbelievable record, 20-2, 20 victories, 19 finishes, 9 knockouts, 10 submissions, 6 wins in the UFC, 6 stoppages, Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson, Darren Till, Brad Tavares, Trevor Giles, Marcus Perez. As I said, all finishes. So we're going to go now through the individual skill sets and who I think is better in each of those areas. Then we're going to look at the actual official stats and try and figure out, as I say, who wins this fight. And I want to know your opinion as well. So let's get started with the striking. Okay, striking, the fight starts on its feet, as we know. This goes down over 5 rounds. Striking, if there's no takedowns involved, that's what the fight's all about. In my opinion, technically, when you look at the fighters, Sean Strickland is a more technical striker, okay? Uses that jab really well. He's got beautiful footwork, okay? Pumps that jab out, and when he gets comfortable, follows it up with the right hand, and if he has his opponent hurt, he lets them go. He's not the biggest kicker, and he's not the hardest puncher, and that's why on his record, he's got more decisions than what Dricus Du Plessis has. Strickland has won, as I said, via decision 13 times, doesn't have the raw firepower. Now, technique is one thing, but also how effective are you? Classic example, I will say day and night. I'm a better, more technical striker, more polished than Dan Henderson. When I fought him at UFC 100, my boxing coach was like, this guy's terrible. He couldn't box eggs, okay? He couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag, but he knocked me out unconscious, because you don't have to be the best striker in the world to go forward and just swing a massive H-bomb and knock me into another dimension. No, technically wasn't as good, but he was effective. So you have to factor these things in when you're talking about it. Now, given all that combined, I think Dricus Du Plessis is the better striker. He believes in himself more. He walks forward. He's more aggressive, okay? And he's more effective. That's why only one of his fights has ever gone to a decision. So striking, I've got Dricus Du Plessis as the better striker. Now we go to the next part of mixed martial arts. The fight starts on the feet, right? Then you can go into the clinch where you can strike, knee, elbow, shoulder bumps. But if it's going to hit the ground, if you're going to utilize the jiu-jitsu, you got to be a good wrestler. So who is the better wrestler? Well, in my opinion, Dricus Du Plessis. We don't really see Sean going for too many takedowns. Yes, of course, he's completed takedowns. Yes, he knows how to defend takedowns. And yes, he's a big, strong man. He's the middleweight champion of the world, for crying out loud. But who utilizes wrestling more? Well, that's Dricus Du Plessis. Look at the fight with Darren Till. He took Till down time after time after time. He was very aggressive with it. And of course, with the bigger size that he has, the more muscles, the power that he has, and the determination, and the fact he sets them up behind massive shots, he's a much more effective striker. So I think on paper, when you look at this, Dricus, once again, has the better wrestling. All right, this weekend is UFC 297. Sean Strickland defends the bout against Dricus Du Plessis, and I have an incredible offer. New customers right now, sign up to DraftKings, who I have partnered with, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. If you're a new customer, sign up, download the app right now, bet just $5, and you will be rewarded with $200 in bonus bets instantly. That is correct. Bet just $5 and receive $200 in bonus bets in your account instantly. By the way, you you can stay in on the action and use that $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts. You can combine multiple bets together from the same fight, including the number of rounds and the method of victory. And if you're already signed up to DraftKings, then no problem, because all customers can get a no sweat same game parlay or SGPX. Get a bonus bet back if your bet doesn't hit. Max reward limits do apply. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, then don't worry, you can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. DraftKings is offering huge contests this weekend with massive cash prizes up for grabs. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers use the promo code Bisping, bet just $5 on any wager and receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. That is promo code Bisping. One more time, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Now we move on to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That comes into play once you start on the feet, then you use the wrestling and you hit the ground. Now, who's got the better Jiu-Jitsu? Now, I'm not forming a case for Dricus Du Plessis, but the facts say this. Dricus Du Plessis has 10 submissions. Sean Strickland only has 4, okay? Now, I know for a fact, because I've trained with Strickland many times, he's got great Jiu-Jitsu. We just don't see it very often because he prefers to fight on his feet. He prefers to use the boxing predominantly.
It doesn't work, you guys. Jiu-Jitsu don't work.
So we don't see it that often. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But when you factor into the equation, Dricus has got 10 submissions, and then you factor into the equation that he defeated an entire Gracie Barra team in a quintet match. He had a guillotine, a one-arm guillotine, a north-south choke, a Darce choke, and he won the other match on points. He took out an entire team of Gracies. He did a lot of them via submissions. He's got the more submissions on the record. He's the better jiu-jitsu guy. So far, we have Dricus the better striker, we have him the better wrestler, and we have him the better jiu-jitsu player as well. Put it all together, starting to trend towards Dricus Du Plessis, but we are not done yet. No, we're going to talk about power. We're going to talk about strength, because when you're applying submissions, it's important. When you're trying to take someone down, it's very important. And when you're trying to shove a right hand through somebody's face, my God, the more power it has, the more firepower in that punch. Of course, it's a big, big factor. Got to go with Dricus Du Plessis. The man is an absolutely brutal striker. And that's partly because he isn't quite as technical as Sean Strickland. He does load up on his shots. He does swing with nasty intentions. He does throw with reckless abandon at times, okay? And it doesn't seem to be the most technical, but it does find the mark. And the way that he swings, because he's always throwing power punches, he's got more power. Strickland uses a lot of jabs. Don't get me wrong, that right hand that he rocked Adesanya with, plenty of firepower behind that one, I'm sure. I'm not saying the man can't punch.
But at some point we all lose, you know? And you could be like Izzy, laying in a bathtub of flower petals, and you could have an entourage and people following you around. But at some point, someone's gonna make fun of you for having sex with your dog, and then you're gonna crumble as a human being and get a DUI. That's just not me, because like I'm level.
But you got to go with Dricus Du Plessis when you're talking about power. And of course, when it hits the ground and pound of Dricus Du Plessis is nasty as hell. I mean, let's remember, he dropped Robert Whittaker with a jab, for crying out loud. The elbow's on the ground. He just lets loose with everything that he has. So the power, I got to go with Dricus Du Plessis. Okay, so far all the boxes are ticked on the side of Dricus. Now, cardio. Who has the better cardio? This is an easy one. The better cardio goes to Sean Strickland. Of course it does. Dricus Du Plessis has shown throughout his fights that he does get tired. Now that's due to several reasons. Number one, he swings with everything he has. When you're swinging hard, you get more tired. It's not as conservative an approach. It's like when you're redlining your car. When you got the foot down the whole time, you burn through the gas way quicker. If you're just nice and steady Eddie round town, okay, that tank of gas, it's going to last you forever. Another example, think about this. If you ever work out on a bag, if you do a bit of bag work here and there, if you're pitter-patting away, just jabs, putting together nice little combinations, but you're not loading up, you can go all day. But when you start really swinging like a madman, you're trying to do damage, or anytime anyone puts a camera on you, if you're a professional fighter, you start teeing off on that bag. You start going to work as hard as you can, and you get tired very, very quickly. Now, of course, Dricus Du Plessis had a nose issue. After the Derek Brunson fight, he had the nose fixed, so apparently now he can breathe better. But Sean Strickland has better cardio. It's as simple as that. The man spars all the time. And that's a big reason why his cardio is so good, because if you're getting ready to play tennis, you play more tennis. If you want to get better at football, you play more football. Snooker, you practice more snooker. Billiards, pool, whatever you call it. Sean Strickland spars all the time. So that gets him ready with that kind of combat, that kind of output, that kind of pressure, that kind of breathing. Because a lot of the time when people are swinging, when they're in the heat of the moment, they forget to breathe. The more sparring you do, the more mentally you are prepared, the calmer your heart rate is, and generally calmer the person is. The calmer you are, the heart isn't beating as fast, and you don't wind quite as easy. So listen, I think that's an easy decision to make. Sean Strickland wins the cardio debate all day long. Then we come to finishing ability. Well, as I said, Dricus Du Plessis, 20 wins, 19 finishes, 10 submissions, 9 knockouts. That's an easy one. Sean Strickland can finish people, of course he can. But on the records, just by the stats alone, 11 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's finished 15 out of 28 fights. Dricus, 19 out of 20. That's an easy one. Now we get to heart. Now we get to reason why. And now we get to purpose. Now we get to why we're doing it. Now we get to the intangibles, okay? This cannot be measured. It simply can't. Some people just want it more than others. Now, when we talk about power, when we talk about cardio and all this type of thing, right? It's the heart often that drives a lot of it. Sometimes when you're running and you're getting tired, you refuse to give up. You push to the next level. It is a mental barrier. I remember taking my son out on a run. He was preparing for a wrestling match. And he was like, I'm too tired. I'm like, that's a choice you're making right now. You can always push it up a gear. You can always find your second win. You can always refuse to say, no, I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue to push. It's easy to quit. It's easy to say I'm tired. It's easy to curl up in a ball. How bad do you fucking want it? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Sean Strickland wants this. We know about his background that Dricus has even toyed with and played with and brought up. Sean Strickland said he's going to stab him. Okay. I don't think he's going to stab him. That's just showing how annoyed, how angry he is and how badly he wants to win this fight. And ultimately it comes down to male pride. Okay. You're not going to let this other man beat me at my own game in front of the entire world. And especially when there's money, fame and fortune on the line and the middleweight championship of the world. But I'll say this, Dricus Du Plessis has shown a lot of heart as well, right? The times he has been tired, he's just choosing to push through that pain barrier that I spoke about a moment ago. So I think when it comes to heart, I think it's a dead even. I think both men want this just as much as the other one. So that's the opinion-based stuff. Now let's have a look at the actual facts. So the facts here, these are the official stat sheet, okay? Then when you look at the stat sheet, right? Striking, average fight length, okay? Strickland 14 minutes, 43. Dricus 9-11, shorter fights. Average knockdowns per 15 minutes, okay? Again, we have here 0.31, 109. Dricus ahead there. Strikes landed per minute, 5.82, 6.95 for Dricus. Again, all trending towards Dricus. Striking accuracy, 56% for Dricus to 41, pardon me. Go down a little bit here. Strikes absorbed per minute. Sean absorbs more strikes, 4.24 to 3.79. Striking defense, Sean has him beat here, 63.2% to 53. And the striking differential, we can see there, 3.16 to 1.59. Dricus has him beat there as well. But when we go down here to the takedowns per average, 2.72 to 0.92 for Dricus. Takedown accuracy, 50% to 64%. Takedown defense, 40 to 84%. Sean Strickland wins that one. And submission attempts, 1.09 to 0.2 per 15 minutes for Dricus Du Plessis. He's ahead. So he's ahead on all the stats. He's ahead on all my bullet points. He's ahead in general. And he's trending towards a victory. But will he get the job done? Does he win this fight? Because upsets happen for a reason. We see it all the time, right? Luke Rockhold was probably the same way. Ahead in skill, submissions, finishing ability. He'd finish me. The bookies had him favoured. I bet he lands more strikes. He looks better. He's taller. The man was a fucking model. But I still knocked him out in the first round. So that just goes to show you never know what's going to happen in a fight. So, all said and done, who wins this fight? Let me know in the comment section. And as I said at the beginning, subscribe and ring the bell. See you soon.